but we're talking about spiritual energy now. So the things that you think and the things that you feel. It's something you can feel. It's something that's tangible. It's just
Mm,
that many people can't see it and many people don't pay attention. We won't say you can't feel it, but maybe don't pay attention. Yeah.
yeah.
So I haven't changed her, haven't changed anyone around me, but I'm attracting different energy. And that's what I train people to do. Change their attraction and also build up a real boundary, the boundary that's already there.
Welcome back to our show, Empower Your Life. I'm your host, Cindy Marie. Our next guest is all about helping highly sensitive people who have a gift of connecting with the spirit realm and have tried various energy protection techniques that didn't work, helping them to finally stop absorbing others' energy and having their energy drained, and also helping them to protect their energy and step into their abilities. Now, episode today is about the understanding of having that energy healing, recall your truth or reconnecting with your truth with our next guest, Miss Charmaine Diallo. Hi, Charmaine. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, awesome. So, Charmaine, before we start diving into energy healing, I'm sure many of us, including myself, would love to know, to hear your story about how do you get into tapping to the energy healing? Could you share with that, please?
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, there are many different pathways, but the first I would say is I used to always wake up in the middle of the night. And I that happened to me for maybe 10 years. And you just put up with something, you learn to live with it. But then my daughter, who was way past the age where kids wake up in the middle of the night, started waking up and I had to do something about it. And I
Yeah.
realized that waking up was connected to my abilities. And I didn't know that at first. So of course I had to figure out how to get my daughter back to sleep. So it actually kind of started me on the path.
And could you share with us what exactly, like, I mean, I think many of us, including myself, would have that, instances or events that we wake up at 3 a.m. or
Mhm.
usually 3 a.m., right? And
Yeah.
but how would you know that this is exactly in relate to? Is there any specific? I mean, of course, you kind of dive in, do the proper research, and then you realize, oh, there's a connection with this into that. But
Right.
would you exactly share with us like the highlight point of that
Mhm.
particular situation or story so we could realize that maybe, including myself, that, oh, that's it. Okay, now I know. Could you share with
Yeah.
us?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I thought, well, it could be a health problem. I went through that avenue, didn't get any results. I did several things that I thought would work and nothing worked. So finally, you're going to laugh. I had a coworker who recommended me to a psychic. And at the time, I would never have gone to one of those. The way that I grew up, that was taboo. That was not something we
Yeah.
did. It was almost like, you did what? You would do what? So I said, well, I'm desperate. I have no idea. And since it was a referral, I felt more comfortable. And the
Mm-mm.
woman said that I was waking up because someone was trying to contact me, someone who had unfortunately passed away. Of course, they were I don't like the word dead because it doesn't work the same in my
So,
world. But anyway, anyway, they had passed away suddenly in an accident and they were trying to contact me because I had the gift or I have the gift of mediumship. And I didn't know what that meant. But this person was trying to contact me. They were a ghost, basically, just for vernacular.
yeah.
And they were trying to cross over to the spirit realm. And that's why I was waking up. And 3 a.m. is that specific time, like 3:30, when the ghosts, I use that term again. I don't like it, but everyone knows it.
Maybe
uh,
we could say uh, a lost soul.
yeah, that's what it is. It's just some people get confused. But Ghost people understand. But anyway, the lost souls are active at that time and they're trying to communicate and get their message across, and they're only going to people who they see can communicate with them. And that's kind of a sign if you wake up at that time. Not everyone, but in general, if you wake up specifically between 3:30, maybe 3:45, it's pretty specific. They're trying to contact you.
I see. I see. That's very interesting because one of the stories that I could share with you, well, I think it's normal when you have someone, I mean, family members passed away.
Right.
And I have this tendency back then when I was younger to wake up around that timing. And, you know, now I remember it was my grandma. Okay. And she knows, I don't know if I have shared this with you, maybe, yes, that I have this ability back then to see and feel.
Oh.
But then I'm so scared, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, what, 11, 12, 13.
Right.
So I have no clue, just like your daughter, right? So I just told my grandma, I mean, she's in the coffin. I just whisper, please remove all of these things. I don't like it. So anyway, I mean,
tell me that.
Yeah. So now I still feel, but I don't wake up as often. I have this, I would say, ability to feel it. I would know. I would know. And I have this ability, a tendency when I feel scared, because it's just normal, you know, you don't see them. Right. I feel them. So I thought it's already gone, but it's actually still there. So I have a very strong sense of feeling. I just know someone out there. And the last time I remember when I was in Singapore, so I feel it. I can feel it, that someone, maybe it was his guy. And I just look at the outside of the shower because I'm the only one using the shower at the first floor. I told him that, don't scare me. I just like, don't scare me. I'm not scared of you. Please get away. And then after that, because I'm the only one staying and living in the first floor. So you can imagine for someone who's feeling that, it could be difficult. Now, just so it's very interesting. So I'm sure that, I mean, the beauty of technology now is that giving us the opportunity to dive in more and more, really like bringing more awareness to what before it's a taboo, and gladly it's becoming more open for people to really have this freedom to listen and hear and be educated, that perhaps, you know, they have it, right? So for many people out there, let's dive into the energy healing, right? What is it really your understanding with energy healing? And you mentioned about taboo, right? Because it's something that, it's a woo-woo. So what is the common misconception of many people out there of understanding the energy healing? And how would you really think, maybe you could share with us, based on when you dive in of understanding the power of energy healing, and how does it help you and your daughter in this case? So we could understand that, oh, there's really a benefit for someone who really have a highly sensitive connection with spirit realm, then they could move forward to stepping into their abilities. I know that's a lot of questions, but you could break it down.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. So first of all, just to have a really high level understanding, as you say, about energy, think of energy. There's two kinds, really. There's thoughts and there's emotions. You know, if you want to go back to science class, yes, matter is energy, blah, blah, blah. But we're talking about spiritual energy now. So the things that you think and the things that you feel. So anyone can relate, even if they feel like they're not woo-woo. For example, anger. When you're angry, sometimes your body gets warm, you might start sweating. They talk about anger in the cartoons, the person's turning red, you know, everything is fire, energy, right? That's energy. Sad is the opposite. It's like blue, you're down. You know, it's something you can feel. It's something that's tangible. It's just that many people can't see it and many people don't pay attention. We won't say you can't feel it, but maybe don't pay attention. Yeah. So it's there. And the difference for an empath is that the energy comes in. So we all collect information.
Yeah.
Unless you are really not paying attention, really, head in the clouds, you can tell when another person is upset. You don't have to be an empath. But an empath takes it another step. Not only do they realize, oh, Cindy is upset, they
Mm-hmm.
can look and see they're taking some of that upset within them. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the problem. That's the problem. And so empaths come to the planet knowing how to get this information, but we're
Mm-hmm.
not doing it in the right way because we haven't been trained.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I liken it to like a baby. You see a baby, they put things in their mouth, they're trying to learn, right? Because they can
Yes.
take all their senses are on their head, you
Yeah,
know? So they're
yeah.
hearing it, they're touching it, they're tasting it. That's one way, right? But it's dangerous. You don't know they're going to swallow it, it's poisonous, whatever. It's kind of like that with empath. We have to be
Mm,
trained to stop putting things in our mouth to learn about it. We need
yes.
to learn how to take the information in, but leave the energy out. That's
Yes.
that's all my purpose. That's what I help with. Help you
I
stop
love.
doing it that way.
Yeah, I love your analogy with the baby because, and when you mentioned about we are not being taught, we are not being trained, and it's
Right.
exactly, I mean, in relate to
That's
just
right.
the first thing. I always tell this to people that technology is good, but we are not really trained how, how to use it, what's the pros
Mhm.
and cons. And I
Right.
love the analogy that you use because, as a baby, we just gonna put everything or here, and it could be really, really dangerous. And this is
That's right.
the purpose of doing this, understanding and bringing education or awareness to people. Just because we are so busy on the technology doesn't mean that we don't see and we don't feel, and we have this tendency to ignore that. Now this is why I love to bring it over to the you mentioned about this empath, right?
Mhm.
I mean, what is empath? Right, you have this program, you call it empath energy freedom. I love it. Everyone wants to have that freedom in and
Right.
out or inside out. So
Mhm.
what is really empath? And how could we know? Okay, you mentioned earlier that you could feel it, right? You
Yeah.
could feel it, but what is like, could you share with us a specific feeling that you just can tell? And because maybe when you're in a specific situation, maybe most of you would feel it. So, for example,
Mhm.
you're in a dark place, right?
Right.
And then, of course, everyone would feel afraid. But
Right.
there's this one person specifically would feel different. So, could you
Yeah.
share with us what could be the possible signs and traits of being empath? And how
Yes,
could
I
you
would love to.
guide in this wonderful 8-week program of yours?
Yeah. So an empath is defined by psychology, that's my degree, someone who has a higher heightened sense. So their higher response to stimulus. So stimulus would be noises, lights, um, anything coming in. I always think of sound because I'm very sensitive to noise, but also bright lights.
Mm,
That's for anyone who's highly sensitive. But an empath actually gets drained or picks up energy. So here's an example. If you go to, say, a concert with a lot of people, or even just the grocery store, you can actually pick up the people's emotions that are there. Like, let's say you're in a perfectly good mood, you're happy, it's Sunday afternoon, you're having fun, and you walk past someone that's having an argument on the phone, or maybe they're, just in a bad mood, they feel sad, then your mood would change immediately
wow.
because you're able to take that information in. And for everyone, it's not always immediately. You might go home and then start to feel down, or even the next day. Another sign is, let's say you're with your friends, you're having a lot of fun, in the moment. But when you come home that night, you're exhausted and you haven't done anything. You guys were just sitting around, laughing, catching up, or maybe you went to a party or something, and then the next day, you're wiped out, almost like you're sick, but
Mm-hmm.
you're not sick. You don't have, no stuffy nose, no nothing, but your energy is drained. That's a telltale sign. Now, this also happens to introverts, but it's not the same thing. Like an
Mm-hmm.
introvert, they may go to a party. They just want to lay down and take a nap for a little while because it's draining for them. But the empath is actually taking in people's emotion. Like this person is jealous of this person, or it's not just going to be tiredness. It's a little bit more, and you're also able to pick up more information from other people. So you're able to tell. I've gone to friends' houses and they were having an argument before I got there. And the room felt like an argument. They were done. They were okay. But the energy of the argument, the disagreement, the shouting, whatever was happening was still there. You know, it was still there. And it feels strange, especially if you're a child that's an empath, because
Yeah.
everyone's saying, "Oh, we're fine, we're fine, we're fine." And you can tell that they're not fine. Those are kind of signs. You can tell when someone's lying to you sometimes and they're,
Ooh.
having a straight face. These you can kind of see through people's facade is really what it comes down to. And then you can also pick up emotions. It's not enough just to say, "Oh, he's tired." It's like he's depressed, he's stressed out, he's got
Yeah.
X going on. And sometimes you can't pinpoint the emotion. It doesn't mean you can exactly laser in, "Oh, this person is feeling, depressed." It might just be a bad feeling. So you might think they're angry with you, or you might, it can be confusing. Just because you can sense it doesn't mean you exactly know what to do with the info.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that because I mean, one of my friends, well, acquaintances, I
Yeah.
would say, it just reminded me this person is a very highly sensitive person. And we had this conversation. And, as a, I would say, clueless, I would say I'm clueless, but she mentioned that to me. And I'm like, okay, well, how can I be like clear headed, because
Right.
we have a lot of thoughts. And then maybe suddenly this person, I have a thought about her that I didn't mean something, right?
Right.
But that does that mean that you could really tell? So, for example,
Hmm.
we having this conversation, could you
Yeah.
feel my energy? Like if I have bad energy or great energy, I would hope.
Yeah, it's more like I'm able to understand very deeply what you're saying. So you may just give a simple sentence like, "I had a tasty lunch," but I'm able to get from you that it was very well prepared and it was a
Wow.
beautiful place. Yeah, it's more information. And all empaths aren't the same. Some people are in touch with animals, and
Mhm.
those are kind of the people that you see that are going out and taking care of animals when we might just be like, well, maybe there's nothing that can be done. They're the people who are like very intense. We need them. And then there are mediums like we talked about.
Yeah.
And so they may not be aware of the animal, that's a different ability. And then there are people who are very sensitive to the earth. Whenever there's like a super moon and some of these things going on, I am extremely exhausted. It's really
Wow.
bad. Even if like the earthquake is in California, 2 time zones away, sometimes it can affect empaths. So it's a lot of things going on. I definitely have to pay attention to the moon cycles and stuff because it will really throw me off. I have to be
Wow.
careful with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I just like while listening to you, it seems like, how would you open up yourself?
Hmm.
Like, because it's, it's, it's unknown, right? I
Right.
mean, we know it exists, but
Mhm.
still many people, mm-mm, you know.
That's right.
So,
That's
but
right.
for one person, like
Hmm.
who's listening or watching right now,
Right.
that feeling she or he doesn't have, safe space
Hmm.
to talk about
Right.
it because it's
Correct.
not open for everyone. Even for friends, they might
That's
find
it.
you're weird. What are you talking about? How they would be able to open that? And I mean, who can they call?
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, what could be one possible thing that they could do before they
Right.
call for assistance like you,
Right.
that they could calm themselves? Because I
Hmm.
think it's very, for someone that who doesn't know, who's
Hmm.
not even aware, and it could be scary. And not everyone having the same feeling or energy as this person do. And what would be your quick sort of guidance for
Yeah.
this person before heading to asking for assistance?
Sure. So, excuse me, I have two things. One, I'm going to explain. It's a technique that anybody can use. It's very simple. And then I also have a free gift. We can talk about it later, but it
Yay.
has a lot of information. It's almost 20-page ebook that has a lot
Wow.
of information in there. And then I have a lot of free resources, is what I'm saying. So before someone would want to speak with
Yeah.
me or anything, they can check those out. But beyond that, there is a technique. I call it hot and cold shower technique because I don't have a fancy name for it, but it's very simple and it works on the premise of the chakras. So the chakras are our energy system in the body. This is not woo woo, though we're not doing anything special, but whether someone believes in energy or not, this will work for them. So they don't have to do anything special or new. And it's in the shower. Most people have a shower.
Okay. Yes.
So
Yes.
it's more about being intentional. So when you go to
Mhm.
take your shower, you're setting your intention to release other people's energy. So it's
Okay.
really just like washing it away. So when the water is warm, start with warm water. I call it hot and cold, but don't use hot, please. Don't use too cold either. just just
In
warm.
between.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, don't burn yourself, but warm. And you're just going to imagine the water taking
Mm,
the energy away, carrying it down the drain with the soap, with whatever, and just carrying it away. And you'll start to feel lighter and more clear. And you may even start to get like ideas and different things
yeah.
because you're not carrying other people's things as much. So it doesn't work perfectly, but it does give relief. So once you start to feel better, then you switch the water to cool. And what the cool does is it closes the chakras back down. Hot opens
Mhm.
and cool closes. So you're just closing it off after sealing it up after you've rinsed out what can go. And so that's just a way to kind of give yourself some relief. Um, until you're ready to start building your boundary, which is what I help empaths to do. We have one, it's already here in our body. It just needs to be trained. We're still, if we
Yeah.
haven't trained it, we're still putting stuff in our mouth to get
Yeah.
the information. So we train your boundary into place. And
Yeah.
then, in that program that you mentioned, empath energy freedom. And the other part, besides training your boundary, we also get rid of beliefs. A lot of people are out there, they're trying techniques, they're trying to visualize and imagine, a bubble or something like that around them. But if you have a belief, I'm an empath, I have to take on people's energy. And consciously, they may think, no, I don't want to do that. But if you have an unconscious belief, if you have negative programming that forces
Yes.
you to do this, or maybe you have an energy agreement. I'm not talking about a written contract. I'm talking about an energy agreement with a family member. My mom, I'll use her as an example. I love my mother to death. She's a wonderful person, but we had an agreement before, an energy agreement. And when we had it, she would basically dump negative energy on me. That sounds horrible, but it was all unconscious. My mother she hasn't studied energy. She's not interested in that. But this is all happening on an unconscious level. So she
Mhm.
would call me with bad news, and it would be a long conversation and all the
Yeah.
details. And I would get off of the phone exhausted, or she would just say, you know how your mom can get you. She would just say that
Yeah. Yeah.
one little
Yeah.
thing,
Tell me about
and
it.
my whole mood would just go down. I'd be drained or whatever. She knew how to get me, but we had that agreement where I said, yeah, I'll give you energy. And that agreement was from a long time ago, when I was a child. And so I got rid of the agreement. And now when she calls me, if she has negative news, it's like one line, so and so passed away, or, what XYZ happened. And
Yeah.
we go on with our positive conversation. I'm not attracting that anymore.
Yes.
So I haven't changed her, haven't changed anyone around me, but I'm attracting different energy. And that's what I train people to do: change their attraction and also build up a real boundary, the boundary that's already there.
Yeah. I mean, listening to that I mean, between you and I, we've been working into this attracting more positive energy, because we have a lot of work to do as well, and making sure that we're able to help our clients or our people, like people who have this place to, you know, transform and really have a wonderful, joyful life. But I think that's a lot of work that people would like to say, oh, that could be a long journey, no? Because understanding, because if, let's say, the limiting beliefs has been really programmed, you are younger.
Yeah.
That's a long work to unwire, to remove. And
Right.
that also made me curious when you say about the hot and cold shower. Being intentional also could be tricky,
Right. If you
right?
have those
Because
beliefs. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
people might use the brain to being
Mm-hmm.
intentional, but the body and spirit or
Mm-hmm.
energy is
Yeah.
not intentional. So
Right.
I'm really curious about that. Do you have a specific, like, make it simple?
Right, right,
People love make it easy,
right.
but like just one step.
Sure.
How can we be more intentional doing that hot and cold?
So you made a good point, and I do want to go back to your previous point as well. But as far as the shower technique, the reason it works is because it is with your body. You're setting your intention, but just in case you have programming and things, the chakras are not 100% responding to the intention. They're
Yeah.
also just mechanically doing what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
You understand? So what's going on is, even though you have this belief, maybe I'm supposed to allow people to take my energy. I'm just making this up. Um, your chakras are going to still open in response to the hot water, and they're
Mm.
still going to release them. What's not going to change are the beliefs, like you said. So this is like a band-aid to get some relief. You're exactly right. So back to your previous point, which I thought was excellent and very important, about the beliefs themselves. Yes, there are a lot of techniques and things out there, again, to get rid of negative programming, but we're talking about on an energy level. So when it's energy, I can go in and remove it. So it's not a long drawn out process.
I
It's
see.
like taking a box off of the shelf, taking it away. Now, if someone has to reprogram mental tapes, yes, that does take time. You're right. But if I can just go in, I'm not connected to the belief. I'm an outsider, so to speak. I can grab the box. I don't have any connection to it. I don't have any feeling about it. Take the box, put it in the recycling, and it's gone. And we let, you know, the planet, and we let our angels take care of it. And it's not for us to deal with anymore. So we can move on, and just systematically over time, I go in and I grab all the boxes that aren't serving you. And then your natural set point is to have positive feelings about yourself, to feel like you deserve good things. So I don't have to put new boxes in. You'll just go to your regular place where you're supposed to be, which is self-love, feeling
Mm-hmm.
good, unconditional, right? That will just happen naturally. But I'm going to take all of the junk, so to speak, out. And so you have space for the real thing, the truth.
Yeah, I
And
love
that's
it.
recall your truth.
Yes, that's the reason why I recall your truth, because
Yeah.
many of us, I just want to add in, we tend to do a lot of analytical work,
Mm.
and I would say it's easier than doing the energy work, energy within our body. It's because we have the sources there. Resources is easy, because everyone's open with it. But when
Mm.
it comes to energy,
Yeah.
somehow you have to dive in, and somehow
Yeah.
you have to really have a community to really do a proper research, and you have to
Mhm.
really allow yourself to slowly disconnect with people that don't understand how you can create boundaries, and
Mhm.
put it or tapping into your abilities, as what I introduced you.
Yeah.
Because there are just some people are listening or watching right now. If you have this kind of hesitation or
Mhm.
feeling skeptical, one thing I can tell you, and maybe Charmaine would agree, deep inside of you, when you just close your eyes and let that inner peace align with you, something will tell you whether you have that feeling or not. Now, if you do, follow what Charmaine instructed or give us the tips right now.
Yeah.
And if you started to feel like, oh my God, because you're starting to opening yourself, and maybe there will be overwhelming energy there, then Charmaine just mentioned earlier, there's a free gift, which I'm going to add that. I'm super happy to add that and share that to people that, to dive in more.
Right.
And maybe when they're ready, they could reach out to you, right? Because
right.
This is something that I personally, I'm not into depth into this work of field. This is why we have all our dedicated gifts and talents to share and help people.
Right.
But I do believe with this. I do some techniques to allow myself to have that positive energy while doing what we're doing as a new chapter of our lives. I mean, from corporate world now being an entrepreneur, and you kind of understand that as well.
That's right.
You have to keep maintaining that positive energy. You have also to allow yourself that some people that in your life no longer serving positive energy that require that you deserve to have on moving to the next chapter. This is where I believe Charmaine is the best person to connect with you to create that healthy and strong boundaries. Am I right?
That's right. And something that you mentioned, one, when you're working with energy work, there's nothing really to do. I go back to that analogy, removing the box. The person, it's not that you're completely out of the process, but anything that is false that you've been holding on to, your mind is used to working within that construct, right? Exactly. If you say, I don't deserve to make more than $100,000, just for example, then your mind, your subconscious will create situations where you can't get above that. You may get right to the edge, but you won't be able to make 101,000, a year. Okay. So what you do is you're removing that belief. And so the truth can come in again. Yeah. And so it doesn't have to be slowly though. It depends on how ready and how resistant you are. Yes. If you're ready, the box is removed, no problem. But if you're not ready, maybe some more boxes are there and they fall into place, and then you remove those boxes. So that would take more time. But it doesn't matter if the belief is deeply held, or maybe you learned it from your parents, or if you believe in past lives, you can bring things from another life, but it can still be removed.
Yeah, love it. And to add on that is be in a place of allowing yourself to be an explorer, be open-minded, to allow yourself to experiment and see where it may lead. Right. It could be something that you're not ready yet, and that's totally cool. I love to do these things, and I love to always say this to my clients, that because a lot of people would say, I know this, but it doesn't work. But I think the key point, in my opinion, is that the openness of being curious, super curious, experiment, explore, and just be in a place of maybe you don't know anything at this moment. Just allow yourself that I don't know anything. I want to know something about this, and please allow me to have that energy. And I mean, I am always like that, having this conversation. I may know something, but having that person who's been doing this in depth, I would learn so many things, and that will give me more energy, positive energy, right? Yeah. And so speaking of positivity, Charmaine. Yes. I mean, it's been a long journey for you, learning how to create and maintaining that strong and healthy boundaries, wearing multiple hats. How do you keep yourself optimistic? You might have a lot of techniques, but how do you keep yourself optimistic? I'm super curious.
Yeah. So I would say gratitude is probably the easiest, because even when things aren't exactly how I may want, or I don't see it moving as fast as I want, I can always look back and see that I'm not standing in the same spot. So even if I'm only 2 steps forward, at least I'm not back where I was. Or if I was back, I know how to go forward because I've already done that. There's always a way to see the positive. And in gratitude, it forces you. And it almost, if things are really bad, you can almost make yourself laugh, because you're coming up with little things like, I'm breathing. It doesn't hurt to breathe. It's like, oh, my eyes both open. You're being very silly, but you're bringing up your positive energy. And even if you're in quicksand and you're somewhere and it's an emergency, if there's nothing you can do to help yourself, then just be still and breathe.
Love it.
Especially if you're in physical pain,
Yeah.
just breathing and gratitude. That's it.
Perfect. Well, yes, of course. If you don't breathe, then I think, I'm totally with you. I'm always in the practice of having myself feel grateful because
Mhm.
I mean, come on, every day, the moment that you wake up, that's already a gift. And
Right,
I think
right.
when we are so robotic, systematic in our lives, we tend
Yeah,
to neglect all these small and big things that beyond our plans.
right.
We don't care about that. But I would like to reiterate, and this is actually part of my solo episode that I have published 2 weeks ago, I think, after the holidays.
Mhm.
There's just so many things that you can feel gratitude, feel grateful about. I mean, on top of that you have another life, right?
Right, right,
Continuing being a person who can help, in your case, highly sensitive people. And
right.
so, I mean, this is a wonderful place for a lot of people, a reminder, that whatever you're working on right now, whether that's professional, career, relationship, or just your personal, don't forget to feel grateful for small, tiny things that we tend to neglect, because that small, tiny things tend to be the bigger and basic and really more important, that we tend to distract ourselves with the busy world that tend to lead us to be addicted or be servant. So we don't want that. And I hope that from this conversation that I myself having with Charmaine, you've learned a lot of things. And once again, if you have that kind of hesitation or skeptical about this, just be in a place or being open, allow yourself to understand, kind of, how can I say it? Close those limiting beliefs and tell
Mhm.
to yourself, I'm in a place of loving myself. I want to learn and grow more on a different aspect of life by
Mhm.
having this listening and watching with what Charmaine or Cindy Marie is telling. So, Charmaine, for many people who find it like either mixture of whatever they're feeling
Mhm.
and they want to connect with you, they want to see, maybe you have a discovery call so they can experience your session, where they can find you, or maybe, learn more about your educational or inspiring content, where they can find you.
Sure. So right on my webpage in recalltruth.com, there is a place to register and find free resources. There's even a quiz that will
Nice.
help you, yeah, understand like where you're getting drained. Are you being drained from your environment? Are you being drained from your relationships? It's quite a different thing. And then there's an opportunity if you would like to have a strategy session. Sorry, I can't talk. A strategy session where we can talk about how to move forward if you're ready to do something like that. In the meanwhile, there's an ebook that you can, get more information from. It has more techniques in there, like the hot and cold shower, and, just lots of information because it's not widely available. So I want to be a source of that for people.
I love it. Do you have any, what's that, social media account?
I do. I do. I'm on LinkedIn and
Uh-huh.
I'm just there under my name. And I'm also I'm on Facebook somewhat and Instagram. Mostly it's LinkedIn.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, do not have to be worried, because I'm going to add that on blog, YouTube, and on podcasts. All right. So Everyone who's watching or listening right now, if you find this episode very, very valuable, and if you have more questions or more intuition of seeking more assistance, you know where to find Charmaine Diallo. And I'm going to leave this to everyone. So if you're in a chapter or figure things out where you could be, what you want or who you want to be, just remember that you have the choice. Just believe in yourself, take action. In this episode, allow the space of exploring, experimenting, and stay curious, because you yourself have the power of reaching the potential that you have within you, just waiting for you to unleash it. So stay connected with yourself, stay optimistic, take action little by little. It will bring you to your full potential. And of course, if you enjoy once again this episode, feel free to share it to people you feel that maybe you have a conversation with, that could be helpful for that person. And the more you share this episode, the more that we could reach to people we could empower their lives. It could be in this particular conversation or anything in their lives. And I'm sure that Charmaine and I would love to hear your comments. Just drop it below. And then, of course, if you would love to hear more in the next episode, also let us know, so we could bring Charmaine again and talk about different thing. And so stay optimistic, believe in yourself to empower your life. Here is Cindy Marie. Thank you so much, Charmaine. Really, really appreciate this.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and share so that we can reach more people to empower lives, and you won't miss any new episodes. Until next time, and remember, stay optimistic, keep taking action, believe in yourself, stay on your game, because you got what it takes to achieve your big dreams to make an impact in this world.